Wine Wednesday, everyone. I'm Jessica Bell from My Wine School, where it is wine your way. I have got a very special guest in the room today. She was here last week, but now you get to see her. So Karen, everyone can see you. Smile. So we've got her in the room and we can see her today. And go ahead and say hello on the chat roll. We'd love to, everyone say hello to beautiful Karen. And as well, get your wine open as well. The important things in life, right? Say hello and get your wine open. And if you're wondering how do you say hello to our beautiful Karen, then it's real easy to get involved and get involved with the conversation that's going on. If you're watching it live from our homepage, off to the right, you're going to see a place where you can type in whatever you want to say. Now, be nice, but just go ahead and under audience, you can type in whatever you like. And what that'll do is it'll take you to this screen. You can either sign in, or if you don't have a sign in, go ahead and sign up. Fill in about 5 different fields, and boom, you're in, ready to be a part of the conversation tonight. So here we are at WineCAST 11, and this is designed for our wine newbies. And wine newbies are people looking to just get a real good, solid foundation in the world of wine. And this week, what are we doing? We're reading Spanish labels, and we're going to be trying a wine called La Mano, which is made from the Mencia grape, 2008, and it's from Bierzo in Spain. Now, last week I kind of threw you guys under the bus and said, all right, I'm just going to throw you into the most difficult waters for reading wine labels, and we did Italian wine labels. So this week, trust me, it's going to be a breeze after last week. That last week was like a little bit of a boot camp. Last week I also told you that Karen and I are half Italian. But we have some more surprising news, and trust me, the numbers don't add up much, but Karen and I are also 110% Spanish. Isn't that right?
Sí, señorita.
Sí, señorita. Sí, podemos hablar español, sí? And you're probably thinking after hearing that accent, yeah, right, gringos, whatever. But I actually moved there in 2003. Karen came shortly thereafter, a couple months after me. And I just, told her I was having way too much fun. She had to get over there. And we became partners in crime for a good 2 years. I mean, we ravaged the city side of Madrid. And I actually ended up working at a winery. And Karen opened her own restaurant and ran her own restaurant in Madrid, Spain. And the name and how long?
It's called Memento, and for almost 3 years.
3 years. So it was a fantastic restaurant. Madrid is really missing out these days and not having Memento around. So, I talk about Spain a lot. I love Spain. And, you think, well, why would we want to live there? But if you want to know why you want to live there, then check out the trip I'm doing in June, okay? I'm taking a group of people in June of 2012. It's on the website. You can just go to the top. It says Travel, June 2012. It's a fantastic trip. We're seeing some tons of top-notch wineries. So check it out if you're interested. Now let's get back into, Spanish mode, which includes consuming a great amount, exactly. Look how big Karen's glass is compared to mine. Karen's got the big glass, I've got the little glass. And it's all about consuming Spanish wine tonight. And we want to be back in our Spanish surroundings, and the theme of tonight is Spanish wine. So here's the wine that we're going to be trying tonight. A pretty cool looking label, I must say. You like it, Karen?
Yeah, I do.
And it's not only pretty cool, it's easy to read. So after last week, those wine labels, there was so much information on it, it was difficult to pull it apart and understand what they're trying to tell you. Well, here, folks, it's pretty easy what they're trying to tell you. It says La Mano. And if you don't know what La Mano means in Spanish, they've given you a big picture. So I'm giving you 2 guesses as to what La Mano means, and I'm not giving you the first one. The first one doesn't count, okay? So it's really simple. La Mano. Then they have some other stuff, Mencia Roble, which you might be like, I'm not sure what that means, but we'll get to it. Trust me. Don't worry. I don't leave anything unturned on these labels. And in fact, these labels are actually groomed and packaged with the U.S. in mind. And that sounds like a weird thing, but no, it's not a bad thing. And the reason for that is that we understand wine differently than folks in the old world. So Spain is a part of the old world, meaning continental Europe. In the old world, they tend to understand their wines more by the region from which the wine comes. Whereas in the new world, we tend to understand our wine by the grape. And so some clever folks in Spain tasted this wine and thought, man, this is good. And it's at an amazing price. But if I try and sell this wine to the U.S. as a traditional Spanish wine label from the region of Bierzo, from the grape of Mencia, I'm going to have a huge uphill battle in selling this wine. Instead, I'm going to make this wine label look fantastic. I'm going to make it appealing to the consumer, and then half the battle is won. Now, once you try the wine will speak for itself and the quality that's there. So, ironically, I wouldn't be surprised if this wine actually sells better here in America than in Spain. And it's because when we were in Spain, we often talked about people having riojitis. They suffered from Rioja syndrome. So in America, we don't have a geographic bias. And in Spain, they do, because that's how they understand their wine, is where it comes from. So as such, a wine from Bierzo might be more intimidating to them than a wine with really cool packaging for the U.S. consumer, right? So we're not suffering from any riojitis here tonight. We're going to give everything a try, especially our Mencias from Bierzo, okay? So even so that Spain is really getting good at making labels that are easy for the New World consumer to read, they still are a part of the Old World. And, sorry. Oh, there's an echo. Okay. I know this is live. I mean, I got a great note. It says, don't split screens so much. And I thought Karen was just like, wait a second, I did not sign up for this. I did not sign up for this being on camera all the time. So I was just like, in the middle, you can't wait till the end to tell me that you don't want to be on camera. Okay, I get it.
No,
so
there's a bad echo.
I hear there's an echo. Okay, sorry guys. So I'm not going to put Karen on as much. We're going to try in between the two episodes, we'll try and fix the echo. So thanks for the feedback. The wonderful thing about live television is you know exactly what's going on when it's going on. All right. So where was I, right? So what I'm saying is that we're still in the old world. So even though the Spaniards are getting really good at saying what is going to be easy for a New World wine drinker to understand, they still are in the old world. And as such, they have to abide by EU laws, which include putting the region on the label if they want to be a quality wine. So, but how do the Spaniards get around this? Well, this is how. This is the back of the bottle. So what you were just looking at is technically what you'd see on the shelf as the front label, and technically this would be on the shelf as the back label, but what they do is they actually submit this for approval as the front label. I've seen this done a lot. It's really clever. And what they do then is they put all of the necessary information to be in compliance with, say, EU laws, but also American laws too, which say if you're going to say you're from a region and be a quality wine, you've got to list it on your label. So here we've got a label now that you might be like, okay, if that was the label I was looking at the beginning, I might be a little bit more intimidated about what this label is. And they know that. So that's why you see that really easy to read label at the beginning. So let's take a look at this. Now, remember, last week when we talk about EU wine labels, this is for Italy, mind you, when we look at EU wine labels, we look for these long phrases that are going to tell the consumer this is a quality region, a winemaking region making quality wine. So here are the ones we saw last week for Italy. Now, it would be weird if they were speaking Italy and Spain, right? So they're not. So here are basically the same words, but in Spain. Denominación de origen calificada, y vino de la tierra. So those are the three phrases you're going to look for that's going to help you know where the wine is from. So let's take a look at the back of the label again and see now if you can find it. Now remember last week I told you usually it's one of the smaller fonts. Now this wine label, it breaks all my rules, but it's a great example to show that there are no rules in wine. Last week I said it was the smallest font. It's not here, so I'll actually pull up the green arrow for you guys so you can see. There you go. You see Denominación de Origen, and then what follows that, Bierzo, there you go. That is your wine region from which this wine comes. Now, if you're still like, okay, that was really difficult to find and that's not interesting to me to have to look that hard for my wine regions, this particular country, Spain, does something interesting that Italy does not do. They put seals of guarantee that it comes from a certain region on the backs of their bottles. And here, if you look at the bottom of this bottle, you'll see that Bierzo. That's actually a seal issued by the regulator of that region. And in fact, for the next wine, you'll see up there's the one that we're going to have on the next WineCast. And I even have a Rioja here that has, you can see at the bottom there it is, the label for, or the seal for Rioja as well. So that's another place that you can look to find what region it is from. Now, if we go back to this label here, that word just above it, Mencia, if you want to speak like a madrileño, someone from Madrid, it's Mencia. Mencia is the actual grape. We'll talk about some of the other things in just a little bit. I need to throw you guys the first wine IQ. So wine IQs are wine interactive questions. And they're meant to get you involved and start chatting in. So here's our first one. Where can you find the region, D or DOC, remember those are the acronyms for our Spanish wine regions, on a Spanish wine bottle. So is it A, the front label, B, the back label, C, the seal, or D, all of the above? Okay, and by the way, while you're doing that, let me just tell you guys, you should be drinking, okay? And if it's not enough for me to tell you that, well then listen to my mom. My mom says drink, okay? So everyone, take a sip of your wine. It doesn't have to be this wine, but really, you know, this is a wine class. You should be drinking wine. So, okay, so I'm seeing some answers come in. And this one's a tough one. So yeah, some people are, I think, holding back a little. But let's go ahead and see what people are saying. Actually, I'll give you a couple more minutes. First, I want to show you some other parts to this label. So if you look at the top of this label, you'll see the name of the wine is La Mano. Okay? That's the name of the wine. That's not the name of the winery. And then the name of the winery actually is not even on this part of the label. It's actually where my picture is, okay? And it's relegated to this small part of the label because what they're trying to focus on is selling this wine to you. And this is what is easy. La Mano, it's an easy word to say. Most people know what it means, and it has a good story. These wines are made by hand, so La Mano. And then we've got, like I said, Mencia, just under La Mano, which is quite big. That is the grape. And then next to that is Roble. And so that looks pretty important, right? Because it's pretty big on this label, Roble. Roble actually means oak. And so if you see this on a Spanish wine bottle, they're telling you that it has a little oak. Usually not more than, say, 6 months, maybe up to 9, but usually not much more than 6 months of oak aging on the wine. And that's because there's some other words that communicate that. And Kieran's actually going to write those into the chat room. They're crianza, then we have reserva and gran reserva. So crianza, minimum aging is 2 years, reserva, minimum aging of 3 years, and gran reserva is a minimum aging of 5 years. So there you go. It's all popping up there for you guys. So now let's go ahead and, let's actually stay on this label here. So under Mencia Roble, we have imported by Axial Wines. So that's the importer, and by U.S. law, it has to have the importer. And the vintage, or the year in which the grapes were harvested, is 2008. Then we see, again, the grape, Mencia. And next to that is a lot number. This is just so that the winery can really track the wines and see if there's anything wrong with any of the wines. It's easy to pick them out. And then under Denominación de Origen Bierzo, that's actually an English description of the wine. It says Bierzo, northwestern Spain is quickly becoming one of the most blah, blah, blah. So it's actually an English description of what this wine is. That is a very New World practice. That you really don't see that on traditional Old World labels. And that helps illustrate another point, which is that Spain is often seen as the New World of the Old World. Here's one example with the labels that we're seeing a more of a New World approach to marketing. But also, Spain is really far south, and so we get a lot of sunshine, and as a result, you get a lot of fruit on your wine when compared to other old world countries such as France and Germany. So people often will say that this is a new world of the old one. The only way to find out is to taste the wine. And that's what we do the best here, is actually tasting the wine. But before you do that, let me just see if anyone else came in with some answers. So I see B and D. It's actually D. So you can actually find the region on any of those parts of the bottle. When you're not sure if you can find it on the front or the back label, then it's C, the seal. The seal of approval is where you could definitely find out where your Spanish wine is from. So let's get tasting on the wine, okay? First thing we always want to do is take a look at the wine. So go ahead, and I'll give you guys a nice close-up there, and see what you think in terms of the color of the wine. And remember, for this level, we just keep it simple. So if red works for you, great. If you want to get more specific and talk about that it's a ruby or a garnet or a purple color, that works out as well. I definitely see a red wine and some ruby hues on this wine. And then this brings us into wine IQ number 2, which is my favorite. I want to know what you guys are smelling on the wine. So go ahead and give it a nice swirl. Take a smell and tell me what you think, what you smell. Remember to keep it simple: fruit, earth, or spice. If you want, you can always get more specific, but start simple. It's a lot more fun, a lot easier to develop this skill for tasting wine. And now remember, if you're lost at any point when we're tasting, go and check out WineCAST 7, because that's where we went through these terms and these concepts. And so if you watch that, it will become a little bit more easy to understand what we're talking about. So just seeing some of the comments come in. So what do you guys smell? Anything? I don't know. I don't think has anyone said anything? Come on, drink more. You guys need more courage. Come on. Okay, well, if you guys are going to wimp out, I'm going to have to help you out here a little. But let me tell you something. New World wines tend to be more upfront with the fruit. Whereas Old World wines from Europe, tend to have fruit, but it usually is a little bit more restrained, the fruit, and you get a little bit more earth and spice than you would on a New World wine. So let's see if this smells more like a New World or an Old World wine. Now, it is from the Old World, so that's tricky. It's saying, it's when you talk about New World and Old World, it can mean geographic differences, so where it comes from, but stylistically, you can also use these terms as New World and Old World. So someone was sold the wrong wine. That's going to be a problem trying to figure out what you're smelling. But what I'm getting on this is a lot of fruit. For all of you who could not find this one I get a lot of fruit on it. And I get dried blueberries, craisins, raspberries. I also get a little bit of menthol and dark chocolate on this one, as well as a little black licorice. Karen, do you want to chime in anything?
Yeah, I get a little bit of black cherry and currant as well. And what else did I get that I had written down? Yeah, that's about it. And some, you said menthol already, got it.
All right, so yeah, definitely. There is, I got was a lot of fruit, which is very New World in its nose in terms of what we're smelling. Very New World. Now let's see what we can learn on the palate. I skipped ahead and just took a sip, but last week we talked about sweetness, we talked about acid, body, and tannin. So if anyone has the wine out there, go ahead and try the wine and tell us what you think. And then what we'll do is actually try it and see if we think it's more New World or Old World on the palate. So this was interesting because this wine on the nose, like I said, is very New World, but on the palate, what do you think, Karen?
Yeah, I mean, it's real juicy. I mean, it's got a lot more fruit than it's coming across in the aroma, in my opinion. Okay,
so it's real juicy. That would be a very New World characteristic. Yeah, for me, this one on the palate, I get a little bit of the more earth and a greenness to it, and a little bit more acid too. So acid, green notes, and also a lighter body. This actually, I got a dry palate, so little to no sugar. The body was on the light side, and then the tannin was low, and the acid was very crisp for me. So with that light body, the crisp acid, and a little bit of this greenness, it actually for me had a little bit more of an Old World style palate. And that is exactly why you see Spain having this epithet of being the old world, the new world of the old world. And we're seeing that on the nose and the palate. Let's see, you know what? I think we've got some time. I just want to make sure. Yep, we're good. I got a couple more minutes. I just wanted to tell you a little bit more about this grape as well. So this is called Mencia, and it's not grown all over Spain, but it is very unique to Spain. It's very fragrant. We got a lot of fragrance on the nose, and people often used to think that it, or still do think that it is a cousin or related to Cabernet Franc. Researchers said not so much anymore. It's related to a grape in Portugal, but they haven't found any other connections. That it's called Jaen, Jaen. So Jaen. I'm gonna stop trying to stop trying to pronounce this grape. But so it's a very unique grape. It's of its own, and this region in particular, for hundreds of years has had a really great reputation for making outstanding wines. And unfortunately, in the last, say, 100 years or so, the quality has gone down until now. It's really one of the newer regions that are coming onto the landscape of Spanish wine. And that's what we're going to be talking about in the next WineCast. So you better stay tuned in for the next WineCast, because we're going to be talking about what this concept is of the new Spain. So for those of you who have this one, I'm dying to know what you guys think about the wine. It comes in at an unbelievable price. It's usually under $10. So it's one of those value Spanish wines that really exceeds its price point. This one typically gets 90 or more points. It's been called one of the best values of Spain. So I'd love to know what you guys think about this wine. And what I often ask you guys is, what do you think? What would you do with this? Would you dump it, finish it, buy it, stock it, or save it? And then also, what would you pair with this wine? You can't have your wine without food. Karen, what about you? What would you pair with this wine?
I think it would go great with some barbecue or some
barbecue,
a rustic terrine or pate or grilled sausages.
Yeah, so a rustic terrine. Those terrine and sausages have lots of fat, and so this wine is great for food because it has such great acid on it, and that acid is going to cut through all that wonderful fat that we find in those terrines and those sausages. So yeah, definitely. Anyone? I don't think a lot of people have this wine. I feel so bad for you guys.
It's delicious.
It's good. But now you'll go out and get it maybe, right? Because but it's hard to find. It was a hard wine to find. So I appreciate you guys coming even though you don't have it. So I see some people saying, in fact, I see my mom and my sister having the sympathy vote right now. Finish it, buy it. But that's okay. I mean, we can learn without having the wine in front of you. I would buy it. That's my call on it. I think at this price point, it's hard to pass up. So we're running out of time, but we're going to be talking more Spanish wine in the next WineCast, which is coming right up at 7 o'clock in about 5 minutes. So we're going to sign off and then sign back on with the new WineCast. But just as a reminder, any unanswered questions will be on our blog. It's called MWS Decants on the homepage, and you'll see WineCast number 11. There will be any unanswered questions. There'll also be our tasting notes there, as well as a quiz. If you take the quiz based on this tasting and you score the highest, I'm going to send you a little prize. So it's a wine preserver. So definitely I'm trying to make sure I'm being a teacher and making sure you guys take your quizzes. So thanks so much for joining us tonight. We're going to be coming right back, so stay tuned for WineCast number 12. And I'm Jessica Bell from My Wine School, where it is wine your way.